What is it about Angelina Jolie that captivates us so deeply? Is it her undeniable talent as an actress, her striking beauty, or something far more profound? Something that lingers in the depths of our collective admiration? Could it be her fearless authenticity, her unwavering commitment to humanity, or the way she moves through life with a rare blend of strength and grace? Unlike many Hollywood icons, Jolie's impact extends beyond the silver screen. She doesn't just play roles. She embodies values that transcend fame, wealth, and borders. Her choices reflect the very essence of Buddhist philosophy, whether consciously or not: compassion, karuna, in her humanitarian work; impermanence, anicca, in the way she embraces change; simplicity in her personal life; interconnectedness in her global advocacy; and wisdom, panya, in the way she raises her voice for those who have none. These are not just abstract ideals. They are guiding principles that shape the way we live, the way we love, and the way we see the world. But why does this matter? Why should we care about how a Hollywood star aligns with these age-old teachings? Because her journey is more than a celebrity narrative. It's a reflection of something universal. It challenges us to look inward. Are we living with purpose? Are we opening our hearts to others? Are we embracing change? Or are we trapped in fear? Angelina Jolie's story is not just hers. It's a lesson for all of us. And if you've ever felt inspired by her journey, if you believe in the power of compassion, resilience, and transformation, then join the conversation. Subscribe to our channel, share this video, and let's explore together how we can bring more meaning into our lives. Because inspiration is meant to be shared. Compassion lies at the very heart of Buddhism. But what if compassion is more than just kindness? What if it is the key to a deeper, more fulfilling existence? One that transforms not only those around us, but also our very own souls. True compassion is not merely an emotion. It is a profound state of being. One that compels us to act selflessly for the benefit of others, even when no one is watching. In the Dhammapada, a sacred text of Theravada Buddhism, the Buddha imparts a timeless truth. All beings tremble before danger. All fear death. Putting oneself in another's place, one should neither kill nor cause another to kill. At first glance, this may seem like a simple moral guideline, but beneath its surface lies something much more powerful. It is a call to radical empathy, a reminder that every sentient being, no matter how different from us, shares the same fundamental longing for happiness and the same deep-seated fear of suffering. And when we truly recognize this, compassion ceases to be a mere concept and becomes an undeniable force that guides our every action. But what does compassion really look like in practice? It is easy to imagine grand acts of heroism, saving lives, dedicating oneself to humanitarian causes. But the truth is, compassion is woven into the smallest moments of daily life. It is in the way we listen, truly listen, without judgment. It is in the patience we offer to a child struggling to express themselves. It is in the quiet choice to forgive when anger would be easier. Even a simple, genuine smile to a stranger can be a profound act of kindness. Yet, here's the challenge. How often do we pause to embody this compassion? Do we take the time to notice the struggles of those around us? Or are we too caught up in the endless motion of our own lives? And more importantly, are we willing to embrace the vulnerability that true compassion demands? The risk of feeling deeply, of opening our hearts fully, even when it may bring us pain. The answers to these questions reveal more about us than we might think. So, let's take a moment to reflect. Could we be more compassionate today than we were yesterday? And if so, what's stopping us? Enter Angelina Jolie, a woman whose life reads like a modern-day parable of compassion. But what drives a person to dedicate their life to others? What makes someone turn pain into purpose, wounds into wisdom? From her early days as a Hollywood starlet to her status as a global humanitarian icon, Jolie has demonstrated an extraordinary capacity for empathy and action. But where did this compassion come from? Was it something she was born with? Or was it forged in the fire of her own struggles? To truly understand Jolie's deep well of compassion, we must first look at the chapters of her life that are often overshadowed by her fame. Born into a family of actors, she grew up under the weight of expectations and the sting of a broken home. Her parents' highly publicized divorce left her searching for stability, a sense of belonging that always seemed just out of reach. As a teenager, she wrestled with inner demons, battling depression, self-harm, and a profound sense of alienation. The glitz of Hollywood did little to shield her from the darkness she felt within. And yet, even during these turbulent years, something remarkable was taking shape. Friends recall moments that hinted at the compassion that would later define her. She wasn't just an outsider lost in her own world. She noticed others who felt the same. She would comfort classmates who were bullied, sit with those who felt invisible, and reach out to those who had no one else. Perhaps it was her own pain that allowed her to see suffering in others so clearly. But here's the real question. How did she turn this sensitivity into strength? How did a young woman, struggling with her own battles, rise to become one of the most influential humanitarians of our time? Was it a single moment of awakening, or a series of choices that shaped her path? The answers lie in the journey that followed. One that would take her from Hollywood to war zones, from red carpets to refugee camps. A journey that would challenge everything she knew and redefine what it truly means to use one's voice for good. So, what happened next? How did Angelina Jolie transform from a troubled youth into a global force for change? Stay with us as we uncover the pivotal moments that shaped her extraordinary evolution. And if you find this story as inspiring as we do, don't forget to subscribe, share, and join the conversation, because stories like these deserve to be told. Fast forward to 2001, when Jolie embarked on her first mission with the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, UNHCR. At the time, she was already a household name, thanks to her Oscar-winning performance in Girl, Interrupted. But instead of basking in the glow of success, she chose to step into the unknown, to visit refugee camps in Sierra Leone and Cambodia, places ravaged by war and poverty. What compelled her to take this leap? Was it curiosity, guilt, or perhaps a deeper calling? During those early missions, Jolie witnessed scenes that would haunt her forever. Children orphaned by conflict, families displaced from their homes, women subjected to unspeakable violence. Yet, rather than turning away, she leaned in. She listened to their stories, held their hands, and promised to amplify their voices. Can you imagine the courage it took to sit face to face with survivors of genocide and sexual violence, knowing that your presence could never undo their trauma, but hoping, somehow, to ease their burden? Over the years, Jolie's humanitarian work has grown exponentially. As a UNHCR Goodwill Ambassador, 2001-2012, and later as a Special Envoy, 2012-present, she has traveled to over 40 countries, advocating for refugees, internally displaced persons, and other marginalized groups. Her efforts have spanned continents and crises, from the Syrian refugee crisis to the plight of Rohingya Muslims fleeing persecution in Myanmar. Each trip has been an opportunity to bear witness, to learn, and to act. But Jolie's compassion extends far beyond official missions. Through the Maddox Jolie Pitt Foundation, named after her eldest adopted son from Cambodia, she has funded projects aimed at improving education, healthcare, and environmental sustainability. For example, in Cambodia, she established schools and supported reforestation initiatives, empowering local communities to rebuild their lives. Similarly, in Namibia, she worked with indigenous tribes to preserve their land and culture. What sets Jolie apart from other celebrities turned humanitarians is her authenticity. She doesn't engage in disaster tourism or use humanitarian work as a PR stunt. Instead, she immerses herself in the realities of those she serves, often staying in refugee camps for weeks at a time. She has slept under mosquito nets, eaten meager rations, and walked miles alongside displaced families. Doesn't that level of commitment inspire awe. Here's a thought-provoking question. When you extend compassion to someone, what happens next? Does it stop there? Or does it create a ripple effect, touching lives far beyond your initial act? In Buddhist philosophy, compassion is seen as a force that multiplies infinitely. When you alleviate the suffering of one person, you indirectly benefit countless others connected to them. This idea is beautifully captured in the concept of metta, loving kindness meditation, where practitioners send wishes of well-being to all beings, near and far. Angelina Jolie's compassion has undoubtedly created ripples that continue to spread across the globe. Consider the thousands of refugees who have received aid because of her advocacy. Think about the young girls in Afghanistan who now attend school thanks to her support. Reflect on the forests in Cambodia that are regenerating due to her conservation efforts. These outcomes may seem distant and abstract, but they represent tangible proof of compassion's transformative power. Yet, compassion also transforms the giver. Studies show that acts of kindness release oxytocin, dopamine, and serotonin, the feel-good hormones, in the brain. They reduce stress, increase happiness, and strengthen social bonds. Isn't it fascinating that helping others ultimately helps ourselves? As the Dalai Lama famously said, "If you want others to be happy, practice compassion. If you want to be happy, practice compassion." As we reflect on Angelina Jolie's compassion, let's turn the lens inward. How can we cultivate this quality in our own lives? It starts with awareness, noticing the suffering around us, whether it's a colleague struggling with burnout, a homeless person on the street, or a friend grieving a loss. Once we become aware, we can choose to respond with kindness, no matter how small the gesture. Perhaps it's offering a listening ear to a loved one. Maybe it's volunteering at a local shelter or donating to a cause you believe in. Or maybe it's simply smiling at a stranger and brightening their day. Remember, compassion doesn't require grandeur. It thrives in simplicity. Let me leave you with this. Imagine a world where everyone practiced compassion, even just a little bit more. What kind of world would that be? Wouldn't it be one filled with less hatred, less division, and more love? Angelina Jolie shows us that such a world is possible, if only we dare to care. Life's only constant is change. In Buddhism, the concept of anicca, impermanence, teaches us that everything in existence is transient and subject to transformation. Recognizing this truth helps individuals let go of attachment to material possessions, relationships, and even their own identities, thereby reducing suffering. By embracing impermanence, practitioners learn to live fully in the present moment and appreciate the fleeting nature of life. But how often do we resist change, clinging desperately to things as though they will last forever? We hold on to jobs that no longer fulfill us, relationships that have run their course, and versions of ourselves that no longer align with who we are becoming. Isn't it exhausting to fight against the natural flow of life? Angelina Jolie knows this dance of impermanence all too well. Her life reads like a novel filled with dramatic twists and turns, from her rebellious teenage years to her Oscar-winning performances, from her whirlwind romance with Brad Pitt to their painful separation. She has faced both triumph and tragedy head-on. But here's the thing, she hasn't let these changes define her. Instead, she has used them as stepping stones toward growth. Take, for instance, her decision to undergo preventive surgeries after discovering she carried the BRCA1 gene mutation. Choosing to remove healthy breasts and ovaries must have been one of the hardest decisions of her life. And yet, she embraced it with courage and vulnerability, sharing her story publicly to inspire other women facing similar fears. Doesn't that remind us of the Buddhist teaching that letting go of attachment, even to parts of ourselves, can lead to liberation? And then there's her approach to relationships. When her marriage to Brad Pitt ended, tabloids painted it as a scandalous breakup. But look closer. Jolie focused on co-parenting their children, ensuring stability amidst chaos. Isn't that a testament to her ability to adapt and find peace in the midst of upheaval? As Buddhists say, pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional. By accepting impermanence, Jolie has transformed potential suffering into strength. So, I ask you, what areas of your life are you clinging to, hoping they'll stay the same? Maybe it's time to loosen your grip and trust the flow of life. Simplicity is another cornerstone of Buddhist philosophy. Buddhism advocates for a simple, uncluttered lifestyle free from excessive desires and distractions. Monks and nuns traditionally renounce worldly possessions to focus on spiritual growth, while lay practitioners are encouraged to practice moderation and mindfulness in daily life. By simplifying one's existence, individuals create space for introspection, gratitude, and inner peace. But in today's fast-paced, consumer-driven world, simplicity feels almost revolutionary. Why do we crave more? More money, more possessions, more achievements, when none of it truly satisfies us? In Buddhism, simplicity is celebrated as a path to inner peace. Could it be that less really is more? Despite her status as a global icon, Angelina Jolie leads a surprisingly simple life. Sure, she owns luxurious properties, but she rarely flaunts them. Instead, she spends much of her time in quiet retreats, surrounded by nature. Doesn't that sound refreshing in an age dominated by social media influencers and conspicuous consumption? Her parenting philosophy reflects this same commitment to simplicity. With 6 children from diverse backgrounds, she has created a family culture rooted in humility and gratitude. Each child learns multiple languages, studies different cultures, and participates in community service projects. Wouldn't it be wonderful if every parent instilled these values in their kids? Even her artistic endeavors embody simplicity. Many of her films explore existential themes, inviting audiences to ponder life's big questions. For example, in By the Sea, which she directed, she delves into the complexities of marriage and identity without relying on flashy special effects or over-the-top drama. It's raw, honest, and deeply human, a reflection of her own quest for authenticity. Here's a philosophical musing. What legacy do you want to leave behind? Will it be one of passive consumption or active contribution? Angelina Jolie's dedication to simplicity suggests that the latter is far more fulfilling. So, dear reader, I leave you with this final thought. If you stripped away all the external trappings of success, who would you be? Angelina Jolie seems to know the answer, and it's a lesson worth remembering. Interconnectedness is another profound teaching in Buddhism. The principle of interdependence, pratyasamutpada, teaches that nothing exists in isolation. Every action we take ripples outward, affecting countless beings. Think about it. When you plant a tree, you're not just creating shade for yourself. You're giving oxygen to future generations. Isn't that a beautiful thought? Have you ever stopped to consider how interconnected everything is? In Buddhism, the web of life underscores the importance of respecting and preserving the environment, as harming nature ultimately harms oneself and future generations. Angelina Jolie takes this idea seriously. As an environmental activist, she champions causes that protect our planet and its inhabitants. Through the Maddox Jolie Pitt Foundation, she supports reforestation efforts in Cambodia, empowering local communities to restore degraded lands. She also advocates for renewable energy and fights against climate change on a global scale. But why does she care so much? Because she understands that harming the earth ultimately harms ourselves. Pollution doesn't discriminate. It affects rich and poor alike. Deforestation disrupts ecosystems, leading to food shortages and biodiversity loss. Climate change displaces millions, creating climate refugees. Don't these realities hit close to home? Jolie's environmental advocacy serves as a powerful reminder that we are part of a larger web of life. Our choices, whether to recycle, conserve water, or support eco-friendly policies, have far-reaching consequences. So, next time you toss a plastic bottle into the trash instead of the recycling bin, pause and think, who am I impacting beyond myself? Education is often called the great equalizer, and for good reason. In Buddhism, wisdom, panya, is essential for breaking free from ignorance and achieving enlightenment. Knowledge empowers us to make informed decisions, challenge injustice, and create meaningful change. But how accessible is education for everyone? For Angelina Jolie, education is a cornerstone of her humanitarian work. She believes that every child deserves the chance to learn, regardless of their circumstances. In Afghanistan, she helped build schools for girls, despite the dangers posed by extremist groups. In Kenya, she supported programs that provide scholarships to underprivileged students. Why does she invest so heavily in education? Because she knows that knowledge opens doors that might otherwise remain closed. Beyond formal schooling, Jolie promotes lifelong learning. Through her writings and speeches, she encourages people to think critically and act compassionately. Her op-eds on topics like sexual violence in conflict zones challenge readers to confront uncomfortable truths. Her TED Talks inspire audiences to reimagine what's possible. Doesn't that kind of leadership give you hope for the future? Here's a philosophical musing. What legacy do you want to leave behind? Will it be one of passive consumption or active contribution? Angelina Jolie's dedication to education suggests that the latter is far more fulfilling. As we wrap up this exploration, let's return to the original question. Is Angelina Jolie a modern-day bodhisattva? While she may not don robes or chant mantras, her life radiates the essence of Buddhist teachings. Her compassion knows no bounds. Her acceptance of impermanence inspires resilience. Her simplicity fosters authenticity. Her advocacy for sustainability underscores interconnectedness. And her commitment to education lights the path forward. Isn't it remarkable how one person can embody so many universal truths? Whether consciously or unconsciously, Angelina Jolie walks a path illuminated by wisdom and kindness. A path available to each of us, should we choose to follow it. So, dear reader, I leave you with this final thought. What small act of compassion can you perform today? How can you embrace impermanence and simplify your life? How can you honor the interconnectedness of all beings? The answers lie within you, waiting to be discovered. Angelina Jolie's journey reminds us that we all have the power to make a difference, not through grand gestures, but through the quiet, consistent practice of living with purpose and heart. Let her story inspire you to walk your own path of compassion, wisdom, and grace. Let's delve deeper into the nuances of Angelina Jolie's life and philosophy, exploring how her actions resonate with the timeless wisdom of Buddhism. Consider the moments in her life when she faced adversity, moments that could have broken her spirit, but instead forged her resolve. Her battle with the BRCA1 gene mutation, for instance, was not just a medical decision. It was a profound meditation on impermanence and self-acceptance. By choosing to undergo preventive surgeries, she confronted her mortality with courage and grace. She didn't hide her scars. Instead, she shared her journey openly, encouraging others to face their fears and take control of their health. Isn't that the essence of wisdom? Turning personal struggles into lessons for the collective good. Her adoption of children from different parts of the world, Cambodia, Ethiopia, and Vietnam, also speaks volumes about her belief in interconnectedness. By bringing these children into her family, she created a microcosm of global unity, celebrating diversity and fostering mutual respect. Each child brings a unique cultural heritage, enriching the family dynamic and teaching valuable lessons about tolerance and empathy. Doesn't this reflect the Buddhist ideal of seeing all beings as equal, regardless of race, nationality, or background? Even her artistic choices reveal a deep philosophical undertone. Films like A Mighty Heart, which tells the true story of journalist Daniel Pearl's kidnapping and murder, highlight the fragility of life and the resilience of the human spirit. In directing Unbroken, she brought to life the incredible survival story of Louis Zamperini, a testament to the power of forgiveness and redemption. These projects are not just entertainment. They are meditations on the human condition, inviting viewers to reflect on their own lives and choices. Isn't art at its best when it challenges us to grow? Angelina Jolie's commitment to education extends beyond building schools and funding scholarships. She understands that true empowerment comes from critical thinking and self-awareness. In her role as a visiting professor at the London School of Economics, she co-founded a program on women, peace, and security, emphasizing the importance of gender equality in conflict resolution. She has also written extensively on issues like sexual violence in war zones, using her platform to advocate for policy changes. Doesn't this demonstrate the Buddhist principle of wisdom, that knowledge must be applied for the greater good? Her environmental activism further underscores her understanding of interconnectedness. By supporting sustainable practices and conservation efforts, she acknowledges that the health of the planet is intrinsically linked to the well-being of its inhabitants. She has spoken passionately about the need to address climate change, urging world leaders to take decisive action. Isn't it inspiring to see someone use their influence to tackle one of the greatest challenges of our time? As we reflect on Angelina Jolie's journey, we are reminded of a profound truth, one echoed in the timeless wisdom of Buddhism. True fulfillment does not come from fame, fortune, or accolades. It is not found in the fleeting applause of the world, but in something far deeper. The cultivation of inner virtues like compassion, wisdom, and mindfulness. Jolie's life serves as a living testament to this truth. She shows us that no matter where we come from, no matter the obstacles we face, we all have the power to rewrite our own stories and create meaningful change in the world. But here's the real question. What can we as individuals take away from Angelina Jolie's alignment with Buddhist philosophy? Is it merely an interesting parallel? Or is it an invitation? An opportunity to examine our own lives with fresh eyes? Perhaps the greatest lesson her journey offers is this: we are all capable of embodying these universal values. Compassion is not exclusive to humanitarians. Wisdom is not reserved for scholars. Mindfulness is not the domain of monks in distant temples. These qualities live within each of us, waiting to be nurtured, waiting to be expressed in the small, everyday choices we make. Angelina Jolie's story is not just about transformation. It is about intention. It is about choosing to see beyond oneself, choosing to embrace change rather than fear it, choosing to walk through the world with an open heart despite the risks. Her journey challenges us to ask, are we living with purpose? Are we cultivating compassion in our daily interactions? Are we truly present in our own lives? And perhaps most importantly, what would happen if we did? Let this be more than just a story you listen to and forget. Let it be a spark, a call to action. If this message resonates with you, if you believe in the power of compassion, transformation, and living with intention, then don't keep it to yourself. Subscribe to our channel, share this video, and join the conversation. Because stories like these have the power to inspire, and inspiration is meant to be shared.